A mom and her 9-month-old daughter have not been seen in a week, and their family can't help but think the worst.
And the cold weather might have had you cooped up inside, but local law enforcement say it's not stopping criminals from coming out.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's 6 o'clock now on this Friday, February 1st, and we are finally back to temperatures that at least feel normal today.
Yeah.
Normal-ish.
It's better. It's better. We're above
We'll
zero.
take it.
I'm just going to apologize to the teachers right now.
Right.
My children have not been outside in 3 days. 3 days.
Stir crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, but I'm very happy to send them back to school today. they need something.
Get them out.
Yes.
Something other than the inside of our house.
I'm sorry. I was so excited. I threw a pen at you.
It's all right.
You're not going to be the only one doing that
A lot
today.
of parents pretty excited today.
Yep.
Things sort of get back to normal for us here in southern Wisconsin. We're finally going to come out of the deep freeze. Temperatures are still below zero, so it's cold this morning, but not as cold as it has been. Doppler track showing you just a little bit of snow activity across the region. We had about an inch of snowfall overnight, so there may be some slippery spots on the roads. We're climbing though, girls. 2 below now. Last hour we were 3 below. I know, we're going in the right direction. Janesville and Mineral Point are already above zero this morning. Here's a look at our temperatures over the next 12 hours. This morning at some point here in Madison, we will climb above zero as well. We're headed to highs in the upper teens this afternoon. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps. Again, there is about an inch of snow on the ground here in Madison and many parts of southern Wisconsin. With temperatures still below zero, there may be some pretty slippery spots. The salt and all the treatments that they have for the road don't work when it's this cold. There are some brake lights starting to show up on the belt line right around Stoughton Road and Verona Road. Looks like there is an accident near Verona as well on the highway, so be aware of that. Otherwise, interstate travel right now looking pretty good.
Yeah, road's still slick out there this morning, though, so take it slow. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
So we want to start the news this hour with a developing story out of Fitchburg, where police are asking for your help to find a missing mother and her 9-month-old baby. It's been a week now since family members last had contact with 24-year-old Lachey Nicole Mitchell and her daughter Serena. They were last seen around Greenway Cross. That's a road just south of the Beltline off Fish Hatchery Road. Mitchell is about 5'4", 120 pounds with shoulder-length hair. We have this picture of her and little Serena up on our channel3000.com homepage as well. As of right now, police do not suspect foul play, but Mitchell's siblings can't help but wonder.
It's not like her to go even a day without contacting someone. I'd like to keep my mind open to the fact that it's not, but at this point I can't put anything past anyone.
So Lachey was last seen wearing black leggings and black boots. Her daughter was wearing a pink snowsuit. Anyone with information on Lachey and where she might be is asked to call Fitchburg Police. That number's on your screen there, 608-270-4300.
A missing teenager has been found safe here in Wisconsin after she left her home in Tennessee. The FBI says 14-year-old Savannah Pruitt ran away from her home because of a, quote, family situation. Yesterday, her adopted father was arrested on rape charges. Police aren't saying right now whether her disappearance and his arrest are related. It's not clear where in Wisconsin Savannah was found. Police in the Milwaukee area are now investigating a pair of weather-related deaths following the spell of dangerously cold weather. A 62-year-old man was found dead behind a house in Cudahy yesterday morning. Officers were called to his home for a welfare check when he didn't show up for work and found him frozen underneath a tree. The medical examiner's office is investigating exactly how he died. And another autopsy is underway for a woman who was found frozen inside her unheated apartment in Milwaukee. The medical examiner says the 38-year-old was found dead around 7:30 Wednesday night. Officers say the thermostat in her apartment had malfunctioned.
Absolutely terrifying. Their law enforcement in our area are reminding us that crime does not stop when it's this cold. In the past month alone, Madison police count at least 8 robberies around the Muirfield and Maple Grove Roads area on the far west side. You're seeing footage here of an attempted home burglary in Middleton. Across Dane County, deputies are seeing a similar trend. On Wednesday, 3 cars were stolen and a home was broken into. In one of those incidents, 2 cars were stolen from the same home. This is prompting deputies to remind everyone to keep the doors of your home, garages, and cars all closed and locked, and to never keep valuables in your car overnight.
6:04 your time now. A fitting way to cap off one of the coldest weeks in Wisconsin history is the 5th annual Frozen Assets Festival that's returning to the Edgewater and Lake Mendota this weekend.
But according to researchers and climatologists, the lake that it celebrates might be in jeopardy. Christina Laurie is live from the Edgewater this morning with more from the group working to protect those lakes. Hi, Christina.
Good morning, Leah and Danica. The Clean Lakes Alliance works year-round to protect our local lakes, and the recent temperature swings, coupled with new research that you talked about out from the UW, showing that our lakes may soon not freeze, make their efforts that much more important. We're joined this morning by the Alliance's Executive Director, James Ty. Good morning, James. Thanks so much for joining us.
A little bit warmer today.
Oh, definitely, but thanks for keeping us inside. So you saw that new research. We were talking about it earlier. Why is it a concern to the average person if the lakes don't freeze over?
Well, really, the lakes are a very fragile ecosystem, and so doing something like this can have huge effects, some that we know and some that we don't know. But we've already lost about 30 days of the lakes being frozen in the last 150 years. So the amount of time that's being frozen is really shrinking. It's shrinking on the front end, in December or in January like this year, but also on the back end, sometimes it's becoming unfrozen as early as, sometime in March.
When in that 150-year time span did you become so concerned about this?
I'm only 47, so it's probably been the last about 10, 15 years, especially since I founded the Clean Lakes Alliance back in the summer of 2010, because I thought the lakes were so important to Madison that I got involved, and I've been learning about the lakes since then. And actually, we do a partnership with the University of Wisconsin called the Watershed Academy, where average citizens can come and learn about the lakes, and that's kicking off actually next week.
Have you seen any more interest in that since this? We'll talk about that actually in the next half hour. We're going to keep James here with us. We're just out of time for this interview, but I'll send it back to you, Leah and Danica.
Right. Christina Laurie reporting for us. Thank you so much, Christina. A new study shows some alarming effects of global warming. Researchers say a giant cavity is growing on the bottom of a glacier in Antarctica. The hole is almost 1,000 feet tall and 2/3 the size of Manhattan. It's believed that cavity contained some 14 billion tons of ice, and that most of it melted in just the last 3 years. Scientists warn if the entire glacier melts, it would cause a 2-foot rise in the world's oceans. That's just crazy.
Wow.
All right, speaking of warming up, there is a great opportunity to get out tomorrow and grab a hot bowl of soup, all to help out people in need. We're talking to the organizers of Habitat for Humanity's Super Bowl, as in a container of chicken noodle, maybe some tomato bisque. Those details are after the break.
It just might be what you were looking for to warm the heart and the body after a record-breaking cold this week.
Yeah.
This weekend should help you thaw out as well, though. Hattie's forecast is next right here on News 3 This Morning.
Good morning. Outside on the patio this morning. First time in several days. It's finally safe enough to be outside today. We have temperatures that will warm above the freezing point later on this afternoon. Let's get you started though with a look at the radar map because we have had some light snow overnight. About an inch of snow has fallen across southern Wisconsin, especially from Madison and the Dalles and Points to the south. So be aware that if the roads have not been shoveled yet, they will be covered with some fresh snow. Not a whole lot of snow showing up though to the north or even west. In fact, upstream things are pretty quiet. So this snow event will come to an end pretty quickly this morning. Here's a look at our snow depth for the state. We have a very impressive snow total here in southern Wisconsin. It snows about knee deep here in the patio. We have over a foot on the ground in and around Madison and all of southeastern Wisconsin. There's actually more snow here than there is in the Northwoods, and that's definitely not typical for this state. We have also been going on a pretty impressive stretch, 72 hours now and counting, with temperatures below zero. We dropped below zero at 6 o'clock January 29th. So it has been 3 days where I've not seen the temperature climb above zero. That will happen today. Temperatures right now, Mineral Point and Janesville are already above zero, barely, but at least there's not a negative in front of those numbers. The rest of the area is in the single digits below zero. There's a pretty light easterly wind right now that really is not generating much of a wind chill. If there is a wind chill, it's in the teens below zero. And through the day today, winds are expected to stay light. As temperatures warm, those wind chills will improve to positive territory as well. So good news all around today as we come out of this deep freeze. Future Track is showing you a lot of clouds this morning, and while there may be some holes in the clouds through the morning into the afternoon, we're still going to see plenty of clouds lingering for the general area today. High temperatures will be in the mid to upper teens this afternoon. Now, south winds continuing tonight, not going to let temperatures drop off much. We'll stay in the teens for the overnight hours and then actually rise a little bit towards Saturday morning. Very mild conditions are in the forecast as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Take a look at some of these numbers. 37 on Saturday, 43 Sunday, and 46 on Monday. That's warm enough for some rain. Now on Saturday, as temperatures warm, we'll likely see some drizzle develop, and that may be a little bit of freezing drizzle at times with all this snow on the ground. So the air close to the ground is still at or below freezing. Should be warm enough though by Sunday that our risk is just rain into Monday. It does turn colder after that on Tuesday with some snow in the forecast, and we're back below zero again Wednesday night. Now let's get a look at your traffic maps this morning. Jason Stone has all the details. What are you seeing this morning, Jason?
I'm seeing roads around Madison and Dane County are icy and have caused several vehicles to slide off the road this morning. Give yourself and fellow drivers extra time on the road. The Beltline is accessible on all 3 lanes in both directions without heavy traffic causing delays. An accident has blocked the right lane on southbound Highway 18-151 just south of Highway 69 in Verona. And there are no major problems commuting downtown at this time. Some minor delays on John Nolan near North Shore Drive. With your first alert traffic, I am Jason Stone.
Thank you very much, Jason, and thank you, Hattie. So we might be going from -50 wind chills to temperatures in the 40s this weekend. But if you still need help defrosting, you can support a good cause at the same time.
This is a great cause. Habitat for Humanity is putting on its annual Super Bowl event tomorrow, featuring a warm meal, handmade soup bowls, and some awesome entertainment. Jenny Ballwig is here from the Habitat of Dane County, and Ariana Christopherson joins us from the UW-Madison chapter. Glad to have both of you this morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
So I want to start with how large this event has become. I mean, when it first started, 95, you guys were talking about 50 participants. That's grown tenfold or more now last year, right?
Yeah, last year we had 1,400 people.
That's wild.
So it's really an exciting time, and we have a lot to draw people out. So we're going to try to get to that number or hopefully beyond it this year.
Now, what do you think draws so many people out? What about this program really resonates with our community?
We have a lot of students working on this since September all the way up until now, so a lot of effort is put into it, and it's a really fun event for families. Kids have fun. There's face painting and music and that type of stuff.
And of course,
it's a really fun event.
Yeah.
For Ariana, I'm just curious, how long have you been involved with the UW chapter, and what have you kind of seen throughout your time with the organization?
Yeah, I am a sophomore this year, so I was a freshman last year when I joined, and we do a lot of builds, we do a lot of stuff with fundraisers, so it's really cool to get involved and really see the impact you're making.
Why'd you get involved?
I've heard about Habitat for Humanity before, but I had never been involved with it, and that's something that I wanted to try out in college, and I've loved it ever since.
As much as the soup itself is a draw, Jenny, why don't you talk about where all of this money goes to, because it makes a real difference for our community.
Well, every year the UW chapter sponsors an entire house, so it's a big financial commitment, and this is their top fundraiser for that house, and this year will be their 17th house that they've built themselves as a chapter, which is pretty impressive.
Wow, and we have to mention the bowls that you guys brought. I mean, they're gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, so hundreds of local artisans and also students make the bowls throughout the year, and then there's just hundreds of bowls there to choose from. That's definitely the hardest part of the day, is finding the perfect bowl to take home.
I bet.
Yeah, there's a long line for that if you've never been to this event, but it's all worth the wait too. Ariana, have you met any of the families that you've helped over the last
Yes,
year?
I have actually.
What is that like?
It's really cool. It always brings tears to my eyes.
I
We
bet.
had the last house owner from last year come in and speak with us, and we're pretty close with her as a chapter.
That's
so it's
awesome.
Very cool.
There's a lot of fun if you haven't been to this. Again, let's pop up the information just so people know, and maybe Jenny, you can fill in the gaps that this graphic isn't able to show as far as what kind of entertainment and food is included in all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So after you get your bowl, you're going to go through the soup line, and we have a ton of celebrity soup servers. From Dane County Executive Joe Parisi's going to be there. We have Miss Wisconsin. We have another Danica, the famous one right from this station.
Yes.
Rob Starbuck is going to be there, former News 3 This Morning anchor, so that's fun too.
Absolutely. We also have Maynard the Mallard, Bucky Badger, Scoopy from Culver's, so it's going to be a pretty impressive day. And we have a lot of UW groups singing, an a cappella group, a band. You're just going to have a great time, a lot of live music.
Very cool. Quite the lineup.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks
for having us.
So we cannot say that Hattie, Chris, and the rest of the News 3 team didn't warn us about this week's cold, but nothing really prepares you for like -30 without wind chill. Chris will have a look at the polar vortex clearing out and what's next after the break.
Whatever is on its way, we at least know it's much warmer than we were for the last few days, right? You're welcome, parents, and sorry, kids. It's time to get ready for school. Hattie's in with your bus stop forecast. That's when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Waking up to clouds and a little bit of fresh snow on the ground across parts of southern Wisconsin. Most areas saw up to an inch of light, fluffy snow accumulation overnight. The snow is coming to an end pretty quickly, though. Temperatures are significantly warmer, 20 to 30 degrees warmer than they were this time yesterday. Here's a look at the actual numbers. A few spots are actually in positive territory this morning. So the kids are heading to school today. Wind chills will climb above zero for the afternoon. Here's your bus stop weather forecast. Still a little chilly outside this morning, but when you come home from school this afternoon, temperatures will actually be in the teens. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you so much, Hattie. We will. So it might surprise you to hear that this scary sounding polar vortex that sat over our area is actually something that's always around.
But obviously something different happened this year to plunge us into the freezing abyss of this week. Chris Reese is here to explain what the heck is going on.
Yeah, the freezing abyss. I like that one. Essentially, the polar vortex split into pieces, which is oddly enough caused by warming at the poles. So the warmer the poles are, the more likely we are to be influenced by that. But first, let's just take a moment to explain what the polar vortex is. It's essentially a large area of low pressure that develops over the poles, and it essentially sits there at all times throughout the year. Now, here's the deal. It always exists, but it is weaker in the summer and does get stronger as you work your way towards the winter. But typically, it's locked up by the polar jet stream, so it doesn't always have the chance to move down south. But sometimes the polar vortex splits into pieces, it gets weaker, it wobbles around, and it just sends shots of some of that colder air that's underneath it in different directions across the northern hemisphere. Over the past week, that was over us. Over the course of time, we will see it begin to move away from us, and then we'll watch it for the rest of the winter. But just some of the things that you need to know about the polar vortex is, yes, it actually does happen every single winter. So we always get those cold shots that come in year after year after year. Typically, we're on the edge of that, but other times we're in the core of the cold. And so that is what happened this year. But otherwise, we're constantly seeing the polar vortex rotate around the northern hemisphere, but occasionally it will split into pieces, and those pieces will head south into North America. And so that's what just happened, and that is caused by sudden warming at the poles. So as our climate actually grows warmer, it is possible that we could see these polar vortex splits occur more and more frequently around here. So yes, the climate is warming. There's evidence to back that one up, but it's hard to believe that you could end up with more frequency of these cold shots with a warming climate.
That is just wild.
Yeah, and cold shots, my goodness, is an understatement.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, that was certainly, I had the coldest fill up of my life. That's for sure, while
I
getting
bet.
some gas. So,
Houston
yeah.
native.
I think all of us did at some point this week. Yeah, it was certainly cold out there, so it's nice to see some temperatures
I know.
rise.
You know it's bad when I walked outside a couple minutes ago to get something out of my car and thought it felt good.
Right.
Balmy.
Yeah.
There you
So,
go. Well, thank you, Chris.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
The city of Janesville is another step closer to an indoor sports complex. We're going to take a look at what that might include.
And sorry, kids, and really sorry, teachers. Your 6-day weekend is over, and now administrators have to decide how they're going to make up for all of the lost time this week. The day's top stories are next on News 3 This Morning.
Right after news that Foxconn is shifting the focus of its Racine County plant, new reports say they're stopping construction.
And frozen fears ahead of a major weekend festival. Why the Clean Lakes Alliance is worried they won't be able to hold events like this weekend out on the lakes for much longer.
This is News 3 This Morning.
We are all thankful to see the temperatures heading above, yes, above the 0-degree mark today. You have to admit, though, the extreme cold caused some pretty awesome smoky shots on the waterway. Our photojournalist Mark Schilling was up in Sauk City yesterday and captured this so-called sea smoke on the Wisconsin River. I saw this kind of in aerial shots, too, all around our area, Hattie.
Yeah, it almost looks like those huge bodies of water are like a big cauldron of boiling water, per se.
Wild.
I mean, think about it. The water isn't frozen, so it's at least above 32.
Right.
Air temperatures were 25 to 30 below, so that's almost a 30-degree difference in temperature. And that's why you're seeing all that smoke and moisture coming out of the water.
It's not steam, right?
What is steam?
It
Yeah,
is
it's
steam?
evaporating. Yeah,
It's so interesting. Yeah.
pretty neat. Yeah, I guess it's nice to see maybe the glass half full with this Arctic outbreak, right? We can't have pretty things. We are finally coming out of this Arctic blast, though, today. Temperatures are going to climb above zero for the first time in 3 days.
Woohoo!
Cannot wait. Here's a live look from the WISC-TV Skycam. That's Raymond Road. You can see that it does have some fresh snow on it, so be aware of that. We had some light snow develop late yesterday and then continue overnight. About an inch has fallen here in Madison and around Dane County, other parts of southern Wisconsin as well, so be aware of that. Roads are a little slippery this morning. Temperatures still officially below zero here in Madison, but Mineral Point and Janesville, you're the winners this morning. You're actually above zero right now with 1 degree. Temperatures will climb above zero in all locations, though, this morning. We're headed to highs in the upper teens here in Madison, right around 18 degrees. Here's a look at your first alert traffic. I mentioned that it was slippery. We have a couple of accidents to report, one on the interstate by Lean Road. This is the southbound side of the interstate, and also southbound lanes of 151. The right lane is closed there to an accident right after Highway 69. So be aware of that. In and around Madison, no accidents right now, though, on the Beltline, but take it easy this morning.
With that little layer of snow, it's actually really slick out there this morning.
It is, and temperatures are still zero or a little bit lower, so salt doesn't work at those temperatures.
No
Good
kidding.
morning.
All right, thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
So the good news is we are getting a break from those freezing temperatures over the weekend and at least seeing positive numbers today. So that means you will get mail. Madison Public Libraries will be open, but we do have some closings.
Madison College's Fort Atkinson campus is closed for the day, and class at Monona Grove schools also canceled due to issues the bus company there is having. Now, all of the districts that canceled school this week have to consider options to make up for those days. That could mean sending students to school during staff-only days, getting rid of early release days that are scheduled for the rest of the year, adding time to the end of days, or tacking on extra days in June. Now, districts like Middleton Cross Plains scheduled in enough potential snow days for K through 12 students, so they don't have to make anything up yet. Madison schools, though, won't make a decision on how to make up for the lost time until winter ends.
For some families, missing school means one less reliable meal rather than a fun day off. Lots of low-income students rely on the free and reduced lunches offered at the school, so food pantries are trying to step in and help meet that need. Just last week, Beloit said their student poverty level played a role in its decision not to call a snow day. In Janesville, both the Salvation Army and Echo Food Pantry planned for snow days so they can make sure they're open for any families who need them. Close to 50 people, including many students, showed up yesterday for a warm lunch at the Salvation Army.
From a warmer than usual start to the winter to this week's record-breaking deep freeze, it has been a tough one to navigate for us here in Wisconsin.
It's also had an effect on our area lakes. The annual Frozen Assets Festival fittingly returns this weekend, but it does come amid some cause for concern. Christina Laurie is live from the Edgewater ahead of the festival with more this morning. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, ladies. James Ty from the Clean Lakes Alliance is with us again this morning. He helps organize this festival, which raises money for local lakes. That's especially important right now. Where will the money you raise go to?
Yeah, so Clean Lakes Alliance, we're a catalyst to get things done. So whether that's doing projects on the land, in either urban communities or the rural communities, we help do messaging with leaves. We've actually bought buffer strips, which is a piece of land that's between a stream and a field. So we're really a catalyst to take the funds raised through the Clean Lakes Festival and all of our projects year-round to actually put them back on the land and reduce the amount of phosphorus going into the lakes.
So this is really a year-round initiative.
Yes, and the best thing is, when the lakes are frozen, they're actually our biggest parks. So we're really excited that the weather's turning around and everybody's going to come down here to the Edgewater, which is one of our platinum spotners, along with Land's End, and really to enjoy the lakes, because you don't need a boat, you don't need a sailboat or anything like that to get out on the lakes during the winter. So we've got s'mores are going to be this weekend. We're going to have kites over Mendota. We have a 5K run walk on Saturday morning. So there are lots of different ways to come down and enjoy the lakes, enjoy the wonderful Edgewater Hotel.
So for anyone who hasn't been before, how do you monitor the condition of the lakes to make sure they're safe for all these people? You saw 5,000 or 6,000 last year alone.
Yeah, so it's a great event every year. So come on down, and we do is for about 2 weeks now, we've been going out and actually measuring the lakes. So we get an auger, and we actually go and measure the lakes, get down on one knee, get the tape measure out, and look at the thickness. So right now, near the shoreline is about 11 to 12 inches. Going back out gets a little bit thinner, but it's going to be safe this weekend, and looking forward to seeing you all out there.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and anyone who wants to get involved, come out here to the Edgewater Lake Mendota to enjoy these activities. You can head out here starting at 6:30 tonight for that fat bike race. That sounds like a certainly fun event, and it's going to be much warmer, ladies, so hopefully you guys will make it down here too.
Yeah, lots of fun activities, all to raise awareness for the lakes that we love in our area. Christina Laurie reporting live for us. Thank you, Christina.
Your time right now is almost 6:35, and reports from overseas this morning say Foxconn is no longer building at the site of a $10 billion campus in Racine County. A Japanese-based news outlet says construction has stopped at that plant after reports that Foxconn was switching its focus from manufacturing to research. The Japanese news story quotes anonymous sources who say work hasn't happened in Wisconsin and at a plant in China for at least 6 months due to economic conditions and uncertainties that stem from the president's trade war. Now, the Journal Sentinel's reporting the Taiwanese tech giant denies those claims and says its plans are, quote, unchanged here in Wisconsin. Now, again, the halt on work was attributed to renegotiations with Governor Tony Evers as well. Foxconn and state officials are both denying that Evers tried to change Wisconsin's contract with the company.
Now that DMVs are back open, the DOT is reminding all of us to make sure we have what we need to vote this month. Anyone who might not have a driver's license or a military or student ID card can get a free form of identification so you're ready to cast a ballot. The necessary forms are all over on the DOT's website. You can also call the voter ID hotline at that number right there on your screen. That's 844-588-1069. The spring primary, which includes the primary election for Madison mayor, is on February 19th.
Lawmakers at the state capitol today will recognize the start of Black History Month. The Legislative Black Caucus is holding a press conference at noon in the Rotunda to address some of the top issues that matter to Black families across the state. Governor Tony Evers will be in attendance, as well as the state's first African-American Lieutenant Governor, Mandela Barnes.
An independent research group says the city of Janesville has enough demand for a new indoor sports complex. That group presented the results of its feasibility study to Common Council this week. The group found the market would support 2 ice rinks and a multi-purpose building for a court and turf. Now the city will start researching funding options and potential locations, with a final recommendation to council expected in April.
6:37, almost your time this morning. In the last hour, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker says he is adding his name to the list of Democrats running for president in 2020. We'll continue to have updates throughout the morning.
And with rain making a return in Hattie's first alert forecast, we want to let our farmer friends know about the latest tool to gauge how much fertilizer to use in the fields. That's when News 3 This Morning returns.
Welcome back to this Friday morning, and we had to share this one from Gail, this My Morning picture. She emailed us this one from Puerto Rico. Yeah, just in case you needed a reminder, this was not Wisconsin, with the palm tree and the sunshine and the green grass. Yeah, just a beautiful shot, and made us a little jealous. I think I'm coming around to it, though, just because of the warmer temperatures this
You know
weekend.
what? It's pretty, Gail, but I'm going to serve you one the next time I go on vacation. I'm going to call you out with my
Nice.
picture when it's 30 degrees here and I'm in 80-degree weather. It is a gorgeous picture, though. Thanks so much for sending, Gail. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter, and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Danica and I share our favorites right here on the program. So the state is launching a new forecasting system today that can help farmers plan ahead of spreading manure on their fields. The latest version of the Runoff Risk Advisory Forecast debuts today. The goal is to reduce pollution by letting farmers know how much fertilizer they can use without harming the environment. It's going to include rain predictions along with soil temperature and saturation data so farmers can make the most informed decisions possible. You can access that tool at manureadvisorysystem.wi.gov.
6:41 right now. You may have some residual flurries falling this morning, but Hattie does expect any snow to wrap up early. After that, we're talking about temperatures in the teens. That's the teens above zero, folks.
Yes.
By this weekend, you will be sweating in comparison. Your full forecast is next.
But first, it's the first day of February. Let's say happy birthday to Raleigh, Lena, and all of the kiddos turning 3 today. We hope you have a very special day. And thanks so much for celebrating with us here on News 3 this morning.
Hard to walk. The brutally cold temperatures have made it really hard to walk outside and appreciate the sunrise, but luckily A drone photographer out of Chicago made the sacrifice for us. You can see that so-called sea smoke coming off Lake Michigan. I guess it's lake smoke during yesterday's sunrise. Like Hattie mentioned earlier, this happens when a mass of very cold air blows over warmer water, and the air was even colder than the ice over lake this week.
Beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately for photographers, not going to be the case this weekend. Let's turn it over to Hattie with a look at that forecast. Hey, Hads.
Good morning. Yeah, we have kind of weather whiplash going on with such extremes in temperature in just a short time. Take a look at some of the bitter cold hard facts of the last couple of days, though. 2 days in a row here in Madison with temperatures of 25 degrees or colder for the low temperatures. And that's only the 7th time that's happened in history. Records go back to the 1860s. The longest streak was 3 days back in 1994. Now, if you're wondering, the longest time that we've had below zero is 9 days. 1912, that happened. So thank goodness we're not even going to come close to that. We're at about 3 days with temperatures below zero right now. Interestingly enough, though, if you look at our lowest temperature for the year, the coldest winter temp that we record that year, going back to 1970 through 2018, the trend has been upward. We're seeing generally warmer winter temperatures. Those coldest temps have climbed by about 10 degrees. Now, obviously, when we plot Madison on this map for 2019, it's going to go way down, but the trend, again, over the last several decades has been upward. If you're not a fan of these brutally cold conditions, we have 48 days till the official start of spring. Now, here's a look at the GFS future track. We have some springtime temperatures and even precipitation types in the forecast. Saturday, with south winds, we're going to see much warmer conditions and even some rain or freezing drizzle moving in on Saturday. Sunday will definitely be mild with highs in the 40s. Rain across all of southern Wisconsin, getting even into the central part of the state, and no major changes into Monday. Still looking wet with liquid precipitation for southern Wisconsin. It will turn colder once again starting on Tuesday, but over the weekend we could add up over ½ an inch of liquid precipitation for the area. Nothing liquid showing up on the radar map this morning. A few flurries still lingering. They've come to an end here in Madison, and again that back edge will continue to work its way out of the area today. About an inch of snow overnight. Temperatures are still officially below zero here in Madison, 2 below, 3 below in the Dells, 6 below still in Boscobel. Of note, though, Mineral Point in Janesville, you're at 1 degree above zero. A light easterly wind, really not generating much of a wind chill this morning. Here's a look at your Pinpoint City forecast. We are all climbing above zero today. Temperatures will top at 18 in Beaver Dam, 15 in Stoughton today. Variably cloudy skies to the west. Seeing some 18s on the map there, Muscadet and Dodgeville. And to the north, we're looking at a bit of cloud cover, 15 in Mauston as well as Baraboo. Here in Madison, our high temperature today is 18 degrees. Significantly warmer than we have been the last couple of days. The warming trend continues through the weekend. We're headed to highs in the 40s, about 70 to almost 80 degrees warmer than we were yesterday. Some rain in the forecast as well. Don't get used to those mild temperatures, though. It's still February. We're back below zero Wednesday night. Here's our pet walk forecast for today. Figaro in Sauk City. Love that name. 18,
Ditto.
I think maybe spending a little bit more time outside today.
Yeah.
It's good for us all.
Figaro's probably going a little stir crazy inside.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Hattie.
You're welcome.
The morning sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 This Morning. 6:52, time for the morning sprint. While we had to catch our breath in the cold earlier this week, Hattie has us breathing a sigh of relief today with highs finally above zero.
And Christina Laurie is previewing the Frozen Assets Festival here in Madison as some new research shares concerning news for our lakes. But we start with the case of a missing Fitchburg woman and her baby.
You see the news and how people are getting frostbite and basically some dying, and I don't want to think the worst.
That right there is the brother of 24-year-old Lachey Nicole Mitchell. It's been a week since he and other family members have seen her and her 9-month-old daughter, Serena. They were last seen around Greenway Cross, just south of the Beltline off Fish Hatchery Road. As of right now, police do not suspect foul play, but they are asking for your help to find the two.
Police around Milwaukee are investigating 2 weather-related deaths following the spell of dangerously low temperatures this week. A 62-year-old man was found frozen under a tree behind a house in Cudahy yesterday morning. Another autopsy is underway for a 38-year-old woman who was found frozen inside her unheated apartment in Milwaukee. Officers say the thermostat in her apartment had malfunctioned. At least 16 deaths across the Midwest are now being blamed on the weather.
Here's a warning from law enforcement this morning. Crime does not stop in the cold weather. Across Dane County, deputies say on Wednesday, 3 cars were stolen and a home was broken into. In the past month, Madison police count at least 8 robberies around Muirfield and Maple Grove roads on the far west side. Deputies are reminding everyone to keep the doors of your home, garages, and cars all locked and closed, and to keep valuables out of your car overnight.
Here's a live look outside this morning. We have cloudy skies across southern Wisconsin. Snow has come to an end for most of the area. Temperatures are still technically below zero in many spots, but we're climbing up today. Our highs will be in the teens later on this afternoon.
We're in the middle of a nearly 70-degree temperature rise in just the past 48 hours, making for a much warmer weekend for the annual Frozen Assets Festival here at the Edgewater Hotel along Lake Mendota. But UW researchers warn that temperature changes like this are indicators of a much larger climate change problem. New research from the UW released just this week says there are 15,000 lakes in the Northern Hemisphere that once froze regularly during the winters and now don't. Lake Mendota didn't officially freeze over until January 10th this year. Researchers warned we could stop seeing that lake freeze over completely as early as next year, which would affect events like this weekend's festival. The fun kicks off at 6:30 tonight with a fat bike race and continues all weekend long.
Christina, thank you. Even though hundreds of businesses are back open today, experts are concerned about the cold's effect on the economy. The last time a polar vortex hit the U.S. in 2014, it cost the country an estimated $5 billion. That's because car sales, employment, and construction were all affected by that unusually cold stretch of weather. This time around, that weather affected air travel, roads, and rails, and deterred people from shopping, eating out, or even going to work.
A Japanese-based news outlet is reporting Foxconn is halting construction on its $10 billion plant here in Wisconsin. The Journal Sentinel reports Foxconn is disputing that report. This news comes just a day after Reuters reported Foxconn is changing direction in Wisconsin from a focus on manufacturing to research. The Japanese report says a slower global economy, the trade war, and poor negotiations with Governor Evers are to blame. Both the governor and Foxconn say they are still moving forward with the original plan to create 13,000 jobs.
Within the last hour, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker announced he will run for president in 2020. Booker tweeted that announcement this morning along with this campaign video. He is now the second African-American candidate to announce a run for the White House, joining California Senator Kamala Harris.
The Patriots will definitely be playing the Rams on Super Bowl Sunday after a federal judge rejected calls for an NFC Championship do-over. This is all because officials failed to call interference or roughness penalties when a Rams player leveled a Saints receiver with a helmet-to-helmet hit in the final minutes of regulation time. A judge rejected a lawsuit filed by 2 Saints fans trying to force the NFL to implement a rule allowing Commissioner Roger Goodell to investigate extraordinary unfair acts that affect the game.
Turn left or right immediately. If you do not, you may be fired on.
That's the message pilots will hear if they fly too close to Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday in Atlanta. While thousands of police are on Super Bowl foot patrol there, F-16 fighter jets are creating a 30-mile restricted flight zone around the stadium. Those patrols began after September 11th, and there have been hundreds of civilian plane intercepts over places that is, like the nation's capital and political conventions. So far, Those have all been the result of an innocent mistake.
You can watch the Super Bowl right here on WISC-TV. Kickoff is at 5:30 Central Time Sunday. Then stick around for News 3 at 10, where we're going to be revealing some pretty big changes to our on-air and online platforms.
6:57 right now. Let's turn it over to Jason Stone with one more check on traffic. Hi, Jason.
Hello. There's a crash on the westbound Beltline near Seminole, blocking the left lane and is causing vehicles to back up. Also, an incident is being reported after the Whitney Way exit on the westbound Beltline. Traffic is flowing well on John Nolan as more vehicles are starting to make their way downtown. Lastly, an accident on southbound Highway 18 in Verona near Highway 69 is blocking the right lane and causing a small delay. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
Thank you, Jason.
And there's frozen Lake Mendota as viewed from the Edgewater Skycam this morning. We will finally climb above zero this morning. We're headed to highs right around 18 this afternoon.
Enjoy those positive temperatures, folks. We'll see you back Monday morning.